With today's economy, there are a lot of things up in the air. Analysts fear a recession, while thousands of Americans and student loan borrowers are worried about the future of their paychecks. That's because collection of defaulted federal student loans resumed today. So what can you do to prepare? 210 financial advisor Phil Cooper is here to help us. Welcome back, Phil. I always look forward to these conversations.
I do too. Yeah, it's good to see you.
I've learned so much. You too. Glad to have you here. So right off the bat, for those who are fearing a recession and they're concerned about the future of their finances, what should they be doing to prepare in the event that that actually happens?
I think it comes back to what you and I have always talked about in these segments, and that is always making sure that you understand where your money is going every month. Make sure you have a budget in place. Part of that budget should be an emergency fund. We need to make sure we have 3 to 6 months of living expenses put aside for the things that we don't know are going to happen to us. Are we going to lose a job, have some kind of a pullback, things like that. So make sure you know where your money's going, get a budget in place, and then have that emergency fund set aside. But along with that, just because there's talks of recession, I think a lot of people look at that and they go, oh no, this is the doomsday scenario. It's not as bad as maybe what people are thinking. So make a plan, know where your money's going, get a budget, have an emergency plan, all the fundamentals. But I think first thing is to stay calm and just keep doing what you're doing until you have to make those decisions.
Do you think it's beneficial for people to have multiple emergency funds?
I do. Well, obviously, you're never going to have anybody, as long as I've been doing this, Rashawn, never in my entire career has anybody said, oh no, I've saved too much money. It's never happened. Any married people out there would say, if you've ever had any financial discussions with your spouse, it was never the argument of how did all that money get into my account? It's always, hey, where'd our money go, right?
Right.
So should you have multiple emergency funds? Well, the worst thing you're going to do is have too much money. So I don't think that's a bad thing. You just don't want to have too much in what we call lazy money, too much in a savings account or checking account, things like that that's not doing anything for you. So if those start to stack up too big, you want to start to think about investing some of those dollars.
Nice, nice. That's exactly where investment comes in, lazy money. Okay, so as you know, the news today, student loans are going to come back. I'm impacted by that also. I'm one of those people who, I'm a borrower. So for people who may be in default, right, and they have the fear of their checks being garnished, what are some things they can do to prepare in the event that they're not getting all of their money anymore?
Well, right now there's 5 million folks that are going to be in default, and they think that could swell to as high as maybe 10 million here coming up shortly. The good news is there is still some programs out there that people need to take a look at. For example, you can go to studentaid.gov and you'll see all the different programs that are out there. One of them is income-related payment plans. If you don't have an income-related payment plan, then you've been set up on just a 10-year repayment. Over that 10 years, this is what it's going to look like. And if that's too high of a payment, then you just quit paying it and it goes into default. That's not what you want to do, because if you stop paying on your student loan, it could drop your credit scores anywhere from 120 to 170 points. Then all of a sudden your insurances and your borrowing expenses could go considerably higher. So go out to studentaid.gov and say, do I qualify for an income repayment plan? And if the answer is yes, it could drastically reduce your payment or even put you into a zero payment forbearance situation for a while until you can have more income later.
Wow. So let's say that does happen, unfortunately, and your credit is impacted. What are some of the things you can do to kind of build it when you're in that tight financial
You betcha. A lot of times what people think is my credit is bad, I'll never recover. That's not true. Once you get back on your feet and you go out and you restructure this maybe and you get a payment plan that's better suited for your income and you start to make a systematic on-time payment schedule, you'll see that credit score begin to raise back up. It's not a once and done thing. It's done for until you can correct the problem, but once your problem is corrected and you're making systematic on-time payments, that credit score will begin to raise again and you'll be back on track.
Now, you know, unfortunately, there are some people that when they take out loans and they can't pay it back in the allotted time, they take out another loan to cover that loan. What are your thoughts on that
You can never borrow your way out of debt. You just can't do it. The government has tried that for a long time, which is why we now today have over $36 trillion of national debt. When they couldn't pay their debt back, they borrowed more money, and they borrowed more money, and pretty soon it's a wicked trap you get into that you can't get out of. If you find yourself in that situation, first thing is to stop spending, stop borrowing, and go to your creditors and have good communication with them. If you'll communicate with them, They don't want to see you default. They don't want to garnish your wages. They don't want to repossess your cars and things. They want their money back.
Right.
So make a deal with them and say, I'm in a bad situation. Can I make a deal with you? Can I reduce my payment or even eliminate my payment for a while until I can get myself back on firm footing?
This is so much information. I mean, I always think
Yeah.
like if I would have learned some of this younger, where would I be? At what point do you think it's important for kids or parents to start giving financial literacy classes?
I
or
think
lessons?
I tell people all the time this, Rashawn, the best time to ever make a financial plan was yesterday, but yesterday's gone, so the next best time is right now. When should you teach your children about financial literacy? Yesterday. It's gone. Right now.
Right now.
The school systems need to teach it, the homes need to teach it, the society needs to teach it, and the reason is you and I, we're going to use money the rest of our lives.
Absolutely.
We're going to pay taxes the rest of our lives. Why don't we know these things? We've got to educate ourselves right now on them.
Thank you, Phil, so
My
much
pleasure.
for joining us. And you know what? Another edition of Money Mondays with 210 Financial, Phil Cooper, is going to happen May 19th. We'll have more tips on how you can help take control of your financial future.